The night was silent under the twin moons. Broken stones and empty stalls filled the ruined marketplace. Once this place had been alive with voices, with traders shouting, with laughter of children. Now, only the sound of the wind moved through the broken buildings. A lone human walked carefully, his boots pressing dust into the cracked ground. He was tired, his clothes worn, his small pack almost empty. His eyes kept scanning the shadows because in this part of the galaxy, danger could come from anywhere. He had lost much in life. His world had been taken by war, his family gone, and now he wandered from place to place working with his hands, fixing machines or trading scraps for food. He did not expect kindness and he trusted no one. But on this night something unexpected was waiting for him in the darkness. At first it was only a sound, faint, broken. A whisper carried on the wind. The human stopped. His hand reached for the small knife at his belt. The whisper grew into a weak cry. He froze, listening. Save my children. The words were desperate, shaking, filled with pain. He turned his head, trying to find where the voice came from. Between two collapsed walls in the shadow, he saw a figure. It was a woman, not human, but alien. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes glowing faintly like stars in the dark. Her body was thin, too thin, as if she had not eaten for days. In her arms she held two small children, both shivering, both silent with fear. The human felt his chest tighten. The woman's voice broke again. Save my children, please, save them. And my life belongs to you, human. For a long moment the human did not move. His mind shouted warnings. This could be a trap. Many had lured travelers with cries for help, only to strike when hearts were softened. He gripped his knife tighter. His eyes scanned the ruins around him. Shadows shifted in the distance. Were others hiding there, watching him? The woman coughed, her body trembling. The children pressed against her, too weak to cry. Their faces were thin, their eyes wide with hunger. They were not faking. They were truly starving. Something stirred inside the human. A memory. His own child, long gone, who had once looked at him with the same helpless eyes. He forced the memory down, but the ache in his chest remained. Slowly he stepped closer. Who are you? He asked, his voice low, careful. The woman looked at him with eyes full of tears. I am no one now. Just a mother. Hunters took everything from us. We ran, but we cannot run anymore. Please, help them. The human hesitated. His pack carried only a little dried food, barely enough for one. If he gave it to them, he would go hungry. If he walked away, he might live longer. Yet every step he took closer made it harder to leave. Finally, he knelt beside her. He pulled out a small piece of bread, rough and dry, and broke it into smaller parts. The children's eyes lit up. Their small hands reached out, shaking. They ate as if the bread was the greatest treasure in the world. The woman closed her eyes, whispering words of thanks in her language, then in broken human tongue. My life. My debt belongs to you. The human felt uneasy. He had not asked for this vow. He had only acted because his heart would not let him walk away. But the woman's words carried weight, an old promise that seemed deeper than simple gratitude. Night grew colder. The human looked around again. The ruins were too open, too exposed. He could feel eyes on him, watching from the darkness. His instincts told him they were not alone. Can you walk? He asked the woman. She shook her head weakly. Not far. But the children, they must live. The human sighed, adjusting his pack. Without another word, he lifted the smallest child into his arms and nodded to her. Come, my camp is near. We will find a way. Step by step they moved through the ruins. The wind whistled, carrying whispers that were not theirs. The human's grip tightened on his knife. His senses screamed danger. In the distance, faint shapes moved along the rooftops, silent, following. The woman clutched her other child close, her eyes wide with fear. She knew who was watching. She had run from them for days, but now her strength was gone. She whispered almost to herself, They have found us. The human turned his head sharply, scanning the shadows. His heart pounded. The watchers were closing in. Whoever they were, they did not want the woman and her children safe, and now, because of his choice, they would not let him go either. The night grew heavy with danger, and the human realized one truth. His life had just changed forever. The night air was cold as the human guided the alien woman and her children toward his small camp. The fire he had built earlier was still burning low, hidden between rocks to keep it from being seen. He set the youngest child down near the flames, and the boy curled close to the warmth, closing his tired eyes. The older child sat beside his mother, still clutching her hand. The human took out the last of his food, dried fruit and breadcrumbs, and shared them again. He chewed slowly on a small piece, saving the rest for the woman and her children. He could feel his stomach twist with hunger, but he forced himself to ignore it. The children needed it more. The woman looked at him with eyes full of strange light. She spoke in a voice both weak and strong at the same time. "Human, you have saved us. My people have a vow. If one saves your life, you give your life in return. From this night I am yours," the human frowned. "I did not ask for this. I only gave you food," but she shook her head. "Not only food, you gave us hope. My children live because of you. I swear by the stars, my life belongs to you." Her words carried weight like an old promise older than both their worlds. The human shifted uncomfortably. He had never wanted anyone's life bound to his own. Yet her tone was not light. It was serious, as if she had placed chains on her own soul. He sighed and poked the fire with a stick. "Then keep your vow if you must. But tomorrow I will take you to a safer place. After that, you and your children must decide your own path." The woman only bowed her head, whispering, "As you wish, my master." The word master stung his ears. He had lost everything, his family, his home, even his pride. He was no master of anything. Still, he did not argue. The night was too quiet, too heavy. The children soon fell asleep, their small breaths steady at last. The woman leaned against the stone, her body trembling from exhaustion. The human stayed awake, watching the shadows. His knife rested in his hand, his eyes fixed on the broken ruins around them. Then he heard it, the faint scrape of metal on stone. His body went stiff. Slowly, he looked toward the sound. On the roof of a collapsed building, a shadow moved. Then another. His instincts screamed they were not alone. The woman's eyes opened suddenly, as if she felt it too. Her face turned pale. She whispered, "Hunters." The human's grip on his knife tightened. "Who are they?" "They serve the clan I fled," she answered, her voice shaking. "They want my children. If they catch us, they will kill me and take them." The firelight flickered on the woman's face, showing her fear, but also something else. Determination. She pulled her children closer, whispering promises in her own tongue. The human could see the truth in her eyes. She was no liar. These hunters were real. The shadows shifted again. This time he caught the gleam of a blade. His heart pounded, but his voice was calm. "Stay behind me." The woman's hand clutched his sleeve, trembling. "You cannot fight them alone." The human gave a thin smile. "I've fought alone most of my life." The fire cracked, sending sparks into the air. The hunters waited, circling, patient like wolves. They had not attacked yet. They were watching, testing him. The woman whispered again, her voice breaking. "They will not stop. They will hunt us until the children are theirs." He studied her face in the firelight. The hollow cheeks, the weary eyes, the desperation of a mother who had nothing left but her children. And he thought of his own lost child, gone long ago. The pain returned like a knife to his chest. He could not bring back his past. But maybe he could save theirs. The human stood, his knife ready. He scanned the ruins. The hunters were closing in now, their shapes slipping between shadows, careful and slow. "Tomorrow," he said softly, as much to himself as to the woman. "I plan to leave you, but maybe tomorrow will never come. If they want your children, they will have to go through me." The woman's eyes widened, shining with both fear and hope. Her voice trembled. "You would do this? For strangers?" "Not strangers," he said. "Not anymore." The night grew colder. The fire burned lower, and around them the hunters moved closer and closer, their silent blades catching the moonlight. The human's heart pounded. His hand was steady. The woman whispered prayers. The children slept, unaware of the danger closing in. Then from the shadows a figure stepped forward. A tall hunter with cruel eyes holding a curved blade. His voice was harsh and cold. "Hand over the children, human," he said, "or die where you stand." The human raised his knife. His voice was firm, unshaken. "Come and take them." The night exploded with danger as the hunters moved. The first hunter stepped into the circle of dim firelight. His face was marked with black paint, his armor scratched and worn from many battles. The curved blade in his hand glimmered under the moons. His cold eyes locked on the alien woman and her children. Behind him, more shadows moved, 5, maybe 6 hunters, each armed and ready. They moved like predators, calm and certain as if they had already won. The human tightened his grip on his small knife. His weapon was nothing compared to theirs, but he did not back away. He stood tall, his shoulders square, his body between the hunters and the woman. "Hand them over," the hunter growled again. His voice was rough like stone grinding on stone. "The woman belongs to her clan. The children belong to us. You have no part in this, human." The human's jaw clenched. "Then why are you so afraid to face me?" The hunter sneered. "Afraid? You are nothing but a starving wanderer. One strike and you die. Do not waste your short life for those who are not even your kind." Behind him, the alien woman clutched her children tighter. She whispered, "Do not fight them. They will kill you." Her voice was trembling, but her eyes were fixed on him with something like sorrow and disbelief. She had never seen anyone stand against the hunters before. The human's chest rose with steady breaths. He remembered the graves of his own family, the fire that had destroyed his home, the cruel silence that followed. If he died tonight, it would not matter. He had already lost everything. But if he turned away, he would lose something else, the last piece of his own humanity. He took one step forward. "If you want them," he said coldly, "you'll have to step over my body." The hunters laughed, sharp and cruel, the sound echoing through the ruins. The leader raised his blade. So be it. The first attack came fast. One hunter rushed from the side, his blade swinging low. The human twisted, barely dodging, and struck with his knife. The hunter hissed as steel cut into his arm, but he did not fall. Another lunged forward, aiming for the woman. The human shoved him back, his muscles straining, his knife flashing in the firelight. The fight was chaos, shadows and sparks, metal against stone, grunts of pain and cries of rage. The human fought with everything he had. He had no armor, no training like these hunters, but he had something else, desperation and fire in his heart. Every strike he made was for the children, every block for the woman. The woman watched, trembling, her children pressed close to her. She wanted to scream, to run, but her body was too weak. And yet, as she saw the human fight, something stirred inside her. No one had ever stood for her like this, not even among her own people. The leader of the hunters grew impatient. He barked an order, and two more rushed at once. The human staggered under the weight of their blows. A cut opened on his arm, another on his cheek. Blood dripped, but his eyes did not waver. "Why do you fight, human?" the leader shouted. "They are not yours. You gain nothing." The human spat blood onto the ground. "I gain this, knowing I did not walk away." The hunters circled him, blades flashing. The fire burned low, shadows stretching long. The human's breaths grew heavy, but his stance did not falter. Then something unexpected happened. The older child, no longer able to stay silent, picked up a broken stone and threw it with all his small strength. It struck one hunter's mask, making him stumble. The hunters snarled in anger. The woman cried out, pulling her children close again, but the human felt a surge of pride. Even the child would not give up. The leader's eyes burned with fury. He raised his blade high, ready to strike the final blow. The human lifted his knife, knowing it would not be enough. His body was slowing, his strength fading. The world seemed to pause in that moment. The woman whispered, "No." Her eyes shone with tears. The children clung to her, shaking with fear. The hunters closed in, their victory certain. But then, from the edge of the ruins, a sharp sound cut through the night. Not the scrape of blades, but the crack of energy. A bright flash lit the darkness. One hunter screamed as a burning shot tore through his armor, throwing him to the ground. The hunters froze. The human blinked in shock. The woman gasped, her voice trembling. "They've found us," she whispered. But this time her tone was different. Not of fear, but of dread mixed with something deeper. She knew who had fired that shot. On the rooftops above, dark figures appeared, more armored soldiers, but these were different. Their armor bore the sigil of a royal clan, glowing faintly in the moonlight. The leader of the hunters growled. His voice carried anger and fear together. "The clan has sent their guard." The human's knife shook in his hand, his chest heaving. The woman's face turned pale as she clutched her children tighter. The hunters were dangerous. But the clan guards? They were something far worse, and now they had come. The firelight flickered weakly, and the air grew heavy with fear. The hunters stepped back, their leader glaring at the new arrivals. On the rooftops, the armored guards of the alien clan stood tall, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. Their armor gleamed silver under the twin moons, marked with the crest of power. They did not hide in shadows like the hunters. They came openly, as if the whole world belonged to them. The alien woman gasped when she saw the crest. Her body trembled, her arms tightening around her children. She whispered, almost choking on her words, "The royal clan. My family's soldiers." The human's eyes narrowed. "Your family?" She lowered her head, shame covering her face. "I am their blood. But I am their shame, too. I ran from them. They want the children back. Not to love them, but to use them." The human looked at the guards, then at the hunters still standing in the shadows. He understood now. The woman was not just any refugee. She was someone important, maybe a daughter of power, maybe more. And the children were heirs. That was why everyone wanted them. The leader of the hunters spat in anger. "Clan guards, this is our hunt!" A guard's cold voice answered from above, echoing across the ruins. "Not anymore. By order of the high seat, the children return with us. The mother's fate is already sealed." The woman shook with terror. "They will kill me," she whispered to the human. "They call it honor, but it is death." The human's blood boiled. He had already seen too much of cruelty dressed in noble words. He stepped forward, his small knife still in his hand, his body standing between the woman, her children, and the world. "You're not taking them," he said firmly. His voice was steady, though inside his heart pounded like thunder. The nearest hunter laughed bitterly. "Fool, you fight us. Will you fight the clan guard too?" The human raised his chin. "If I must." The hunters sneered, enjoying the madness of his defiance. The clan guards, however, did not laugh. Their leader raised his hand, and in a single command he said, "Remove the human." 2 guards leapt from the rooftop, their boots striking the ground with heavy thuds. Their glowing spears crackled with energy. They walked toward the human as if he were nothing more than dust to be swept aside. The alien woman clutched her children tighter, her eyes wide with despair. "You cannot fight them. They are trained from birth. They will crush you." But the human only glanced back at her. His eyes were calm, even gentle. "I've been crushed before. I'm still here." The guards moved in. One struck first, his spear flashing like lightning. The human rolled aside, the ground sizzling where the energy blade struck. He swung his knife upward, sparks flying as steel met the guard's armor. It left only a scratch, but it was enough to make the guard stumble. The second guard came fast, striking downward. The human caught the shaft of the spear with both hands, the energy humming inches from his face. His muscles strained, veins bulging, but he held on. With a roar, he twisted, forcing the guard's own momentum to throw him off balance. For a brief moment, the hunters and the clan guards all stared in silence. A human, weak, unarmored, outnumbered, was still standing. The alien woman's heart pounded. She had lived her life believing humans were fragile, short-lived creatures. Yet this one fought with a fire she had never seen before. Something inside her changed as she watched him. She no longer saw a wanderer. She saw a shield. The children's small eyes widened too, clinging to their mother, whispering, "The human, he's not afraid." But inside the human was afraid. His arms burned, his breath came ragged, his knife felt too light against their spears. Yet his fear did not matter. Only one thing mattered, that no one would touch these children while he still breathed. The clan guard leader gave a small nod. Impressive, but useless. More guards stepped down from the rooftops. Their glowing spears lit up the ruins. There were too many now, more than he could ever fight. The human's chest heaved, sweat dripping down his face. He knew this was the end, but he planted his feet, raised his knife, and prepared to stand until his last breath. Then, without warning, a strange sound filled the air. A deep rumble like thunder rolling across stone. The ground beneath them trembled. The guards paused, looking around in confusion. Even the hunters froze, their weapons half raised. The woman's eyes widened. "No, not here. Not now," she whispered. The human frowned. "What is it?" Before she could answer, the ruins shook violently. Dust fell from broken walls. From the dark horizon, a massive shadow moved. Something ancient, something alive. Its roar split the night, shaking the air, shaking their very bones. The clan guards turned, alarm flashing in their eyes. The hunters backed away. The children screamed and clung to their mother. The human stood frozen, knife still in hand, staring at the monstrous shape rising from the dark. The hunters and the guards had been enemies only a moment ago. Now every face turned toward the same terror. Something far worse than all of them had awakened. The ground shook as the monstrous shape rose higher from the horizon. Dust rained down from broken walls, and the ruined marketplace trembled under the weight of its roar. It was no ordinary beast. Its body was massive, covered in thick scales that glimmered faintly under the twin moons. Its glowing eyes cut through the night like fire. Each step it took cracked stone beneath its claws. The hunters froze, fear spreading across their painted faces. Even the proud clan guards hesitated. Their glowing spears suddenly looked small against the giant. The alien woman's face went pale as she whispered, "The ancient guardian, the beast of the ruins." I prayed it was only a story. The human narrowed his eyes. His hand tightened around his small knife, though he knew a blade that size would be useless against such a monster. Still, he did not back away. His body shifted slightly, still keeping himself between the beast, the woman, and her children. The creature let out another roar, the sound shaking the air so hard that it felt like the ruins themselves would collapse. The children clung to their mother, crying out in terror. She wrapped her arms around them, whispering words in her own language to calm them, though her voice trembled with fear. The hunters were the first to break. One of them shouted, "Forget the woman! Forget the human! Run!" They scattered into the shadows, their courage gone, their hunt abandoned in the face of something greater. The clan guards did not run, but their formation broke. Their leader barked an order and they spread into a line, spears raised. The air hummed with energy as they prepared to strike the beast. Yet even they could not hide the fear in their eyes. The human watched as the beast lowered its head, ready to charge. He knew what would happen if the guards attacked. It would not stop until everything in its path was destroyed, including the woman and her children. For a brief moment, silence filled the ruins, heavy and tense. Then the beast roared and lunged forward, claws tearing into stone. The human moved without thinking. He grabbed the woman's arm, pulling her and the children toward the deeper part of the ruins. "Move!" he shouted. The clan guards unleashed their spears, bolts of glowing energy cutting through the night. The beast roared in fury, its scales burning where the energy struck, but it only grew angrier. It swung its massive tail, sending 2 guards flying into the rubble. The woman stumbled as she ran, her children clinging tightly to her. Her strength was failing, but the human pulled her forward. His heart pounded in his chest, every sound of the beast's rage pressing on his mind. Behind them, the battle grew louder, shouts, roars, the crack of energy weapons. The human knew the guards were strong, but even they could not stop this monster easily. If they stayed here, they would all be crushed. They ducked into the shadows of a fallen tower, panting. The children whimpered, their small bodies shaking. The woman pressed them against her chest, whispering, "It will not stop. It is bound to this place. It kills all who trespass." The human looked at her. "Then how do we survive?" Her eyes met his, full of despair. "There is only one way. We must escape before the beast destroys everything." The human peered out from the crack in the wall. The guards were still fighting, but already 3 had fallen. The beast was too strong. If it won, it would come for anything still alive. He turned back to the woman. "If we run now, the guards will chase you again, and the beast will follow the sound of battle. There's no safe road out of here." She lowered her head. "Then we cannot escape." The human shook his head. "No, we survive. But not alone." Her eyes widened. "What do you mean?" He glanced back at the battlefield. The clan guards were not allies. They were her enemies. They wanted her dead. But at this moment, they were also the only ones strong enough to fight the beast. Without them, there was no chance of survival. The human's voice was steady, though his heart rebelled at the thought. "We make a deal. We stand with them, at least until the beast is dead." The woman looked horrified. "They will betray us the moment it ends." He nodded. "Yes? But if we don't, none of us will live to see that betrayal." Her eyes filled with tears as she whispered, "You would trust them? After what they planned for me?" The human glanced at her children, their small frightened faces staring back at him. Then he looked at her again. "I don't trust them. I trust myself to protect you from them when the time comes." For a long moment, silence hung between them. Finally, the woman nodded slowly, her voice breaking. "Then we stand together. Just this once." The human stepped out from the shadows, raising his voice so the guards could hear. "Clan guards! You want to live? Then stop treating me as an enemy. Fight the beast first, then we settle the rest." The clan guard leader turned his head, his eyes narrowing. He looked at the human standing tall with his knife, the alien woman and children behind him. For a moment he said nothing. Then with a cold nod, he raised his spear again. "Very well, human. For now." The ground shook again as the beast roared and charged. The human gripped his knife, his body tense. The guards readied their weapons. The woman clutched her children, whispering prayers. Enemies and allies all standing side by side, facing the ancient monster. The beast lunged, its shadow swallowing them whole. The beast charged like a storm, its claws tearing through stone, its roar shaking the night sky. The clan guards braced themselves, their glowing spears humming with energy. The human stood in front of the woman and her children, knife in hand, his heart beating like thunder in his chest. The clash came like fire and lightning. The guard struck first, sending bolts of blue energy into the beast's chest. Scales cracked, smoke rising from the burns, but the creature only roared louder. It swung its massive tail, smashing into a guard and flinging him across the ruins like a broken doll. The ground trembled with every step it took, dust and rubble falling from the ruined walls. The human knew his small knife was useless against a creature of this size. Strength would not win this fight. Only wit could. His eyes scanned the ruins, the broken towers, the fallen stones, the weak ground. An idea began to form in his mind. "Keep it moving," he shouted, though the guards did not listen to him. Still he ran forward, weaving between the beast's legs, striking not to kill but to distract. His blade slashed across softer skin between the scales, making the beast howl and turn its head toward him. The clan guard leader shouted in anger, "Foolish human, you'll be crushed." But the human only grinned grimly. Better crushed than useless. The beast snapped its jaws, rows of teeth glinting in the moonlight. The human dove aside, rolling across the cracked stones, his body aching. He pushed himself up again, knife ready, eyes sharp. Behind him the woman cried out, her children screaming as the beast's shadow loomed over them. He could not let it end here. "Over here," he shouted, banging his knife against a broken piece of metal to draw the creature's attention. The beast turned furious and lunged toward him. Its claw smashed into the ground where he had stood just moments before, sending stones flying like arrows. The guards struck again, stabbing their spears into its side. The air burned with light as the beast shrieked, twisting in rage. One guard was caught in its jaws, his scream cut short as the monster shook him like a rag doll. Blood splattered across the stones. The woman covered her children's eyes, trembling, whispering prayers through her tears. She looked at the human again, disbelief flooding her heart. He had no reason to fight for them, yet he risked everything. The human's eyes caught something, a weakened pillar, half collapsed but still standing, cracked at the base. If the beast was forced against it, the whole structure would come down. He ran toward it, waving his arms, shouting, "Come on, monster! Come get me!" The beast roared and followed, fury blazing in its glowing eyes. Its massive body slammed forward, chasing him through the ruins. Dust rose in clouds as the ground quaked beneath its steps. The human darted past the cracked pillar, heart hammering. He turned sharply, throwing a broken piece of stone at the beast's eye. The stone struck true, and the beast roared in rage, blinded for a moment. It lunged, straight into the weakened pillar. The pillar cracked, split, and then collapsed with a deafening crash. Stones tumbled down, burying part of the beast under rubble. The creature shrieked in pain, thrashing wildly, trying to break free. The guards seized the chance. "Strike now," their leader shouted. They drove their spears into the beast's exposed chest. Energy burned deep into its flesh, filling the night with blinding light. The beast let out one final, terrible roar that echoed across the ruins, then its body collapsed, shaking the ground. The air grew still. The night fell silent. The human stood panting, his body covered in cuts and bruises. His knife dripped with his own blood, his hands trembling from exhaustion. He looked at the beast's fallen form and let out a long breath. They had survived, but survival came with a price. The clan guards slowly turned toward him, their weapons still glowing. Their leader's cold eyes narrowed. "Impressive, human. You showed courage. But now your part is done," the woman gasped, pulling her children closer. "No, please."
The human raised his knife again, though he could barely stand. His voice was hoarse but steady. "If you want them, you'll have to kill me first." The guard leader smirked. "Easily done." He raised his spear, stepping closer. But then, something unexpected happened. The guards who had fought beside the human paused. One of them lowered his weapon, looking at him with something like respect. Another muttered, "He stood against the beast when even we faltered." The leader snapped, "Silence!" But doubt flickered among the guards. The woman's eyes filled with tears. For the first time she saw hope, not from escape, but from honor. The guards were divided. The human straightened his back, his bloodied face lifting toward the leader. You call yourselves warriors. Then honor this fight. By your laws, by your pride, my life has earned theirs. The guards exchanged uncertain looks. The leader's face darkened with rage. You dare, he growled, raising his spear higher. The human's grip tightened on his knife. He was ready for death. The woman clutched her children, whispering, "No." And then, horns sounded in the distance, deep, echoing, rolling across the night like thunder. The guards froze. The hunters who had returned at the edge of the ruins fled again in panic. The woman's face turned pale. Her whisper trembled like broken glass. Not horns of war, horns of judgment. The human frowned, confusion filling his eyes. What does that mean? She looked at him with terror. It means the high seat himself is coming. The sound of horns rolled across the ruins, heavy and commanding, like the voice of the sky itself. The clan guards lowered their weapons at once, their faces stiff with fear and respect. Even the proud leader who had raised his spear against the human froze, his jaw tightening. The hunters who had been creeping at the edges of the battlefield vanished into the darkness, unwilling to face the one who now approached. The alien woman's breath caught in her throat. Her arms tightened around her children as she whispered, "It is him, the high seat, the ruler of my clan, my father." The human's eyes narrowed. He studied her face, pale with dread. "Your father?" She nodded slowly, tears sliding down her cheeks. "He will not forgive me for running. He will not forgive me for bringing shame to his house, and now, he has come to end it." The human clenched his fists around his knife, though his body was nearly broken from the fight. He stood straighter, forcing his shoulders back. "Then I'll stand with you." Her eyes widened, shining with disbelief. "Why? You could leave now. You owe me nothing." He shook his head. "I owe myself. I couldn't save my own family, but I will not watch another be taken while I still breathe." The ground trembled as a massive ship descended slowly, its lights flooding the ruins. Dust swirled in the air as the vessel landed, its engines shaking the earth. A ramp lowered, and armored guards in shining silver lined the path. At the top of the ramp stood a figure taller than any other, cloaked in dark robes, his presence commanding silence. The high seat, the alien ruler,